Cool. I think it says we're live now. Awesome. Trying to find the web page, making sure that we can see something. Awesome. I think we got it. Cool beans. So, Blaze, so you're sitting, and it looks like you got some rockets behind you. Can you tell us a little bit more about who you are and what it is that you are doing? Can you introduce us to SpaceVR?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Blaze Sanders. I'm CTO at SpaceVR. And at SpaceVR, we basically want to allow everyone to experience the overview effect and feel what it's like to be an astronaut in virtual reality. So I'm here in my office currently. Two of my engineers are working alongside me, building our camera system and working on social media, and having a good time today.
Awesome. So what kind of engineers do you guys have?
So we're 5 team members with 3 engineers. We have a aerospace engineer. He majored in mathematics, aerospace engineering, and one other thing that I forget right now. We also have a Linux embedded engineer. He's building all the custom camera driver software so that we can do 4K resolution imagery in outer space. And then myself, electrical and computer engineer with a background in mechanical engineering, doing CAD modeling, things like that.
Cool. So it sounds really tough to have 4K resolution coming from space. Can you tell me some more about how you guys plan to do that?
Yeah, sure. So we're using the Sony sensors. Basically, we are flying a NVIDIA TK1 into space. It's basically the most powerful computer per watt that you can send anywhere. So it's really low power for the amount of processing power that it has. It also has like GPU acceleration and things that will allow us to do computer vision methods in the future. But basically, 8 cameras connect up to this TK1. The USB 3 interface makes sure all the data comes in correctly, and then we just try and write it to the hard drive as fast as possible.
That sounds really awesome. So how long does it take for those images to get from what's happening in space to somebody's computer or to an Oculus headset?
Yeah, sure. So we're able to capture it about 1 frame a second, and then we turn that into a time-lapse video that we beam down to Earth. We have a radio from Tethers Unlimited. It's a really great company in Seattle, and it can transmit video or data or any kind of imagery down at about 300 megabits per second at max speed. And for the mission, we're probably only going to run it at about 100 megabits per second. But then anytime we're over a ground station, so we have 3 separate ground stations that we have set up through a company called Atlas Space Operations. And during the 5 or 6 minutes that the satellite flies overhead, we beam down the data, and then within 2 or 3 minutes, we can have the information to the users. So for the very first satellite, Overview 1, it won't be live, but for Overview 2, we're going to allow users to do live streaming and actually control the satellite, because our long-term goal is live cinematic games in space. So
cool. Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome. So you said live cinematic games. What is that, and what does that mean? Can you tell me more about that?
It's top secret a little bit. We're going to be announcing it officially at the end of the year here as we raise our A round. But think Pokemon Go in space and have lots of fun controlling satellites from your phone or from your Oculus.
Very cool. I heard from there was an article posted about some of the astronauts on the space station were trying to play Pokemon Go, and it's not currently available. So.
We're not allowed to play. It's sad.
So I think you'll be helping to to make some out of this world people really happy. That's awesome. Very cool. So it's from your guys' records, I think you guys have also changed your original 12 camera rig. Why did you guys change plans? And why are you using your own satellite? What makes you guys better than what currently exists?
Yeah, so the 12 camera rig that we had on our Kickstarter used GoPro cameras. We were trying to do the mission as simple as possible inside the ISS, but we quickly learned that there was going to be a lot of political delays and just time required to do something on the inside of the ISS. And it also doesn't scale company-wise for us, enabling us to make enough money in the future. So we decided to go outside, build our own satellite, protect our own IP so that we can actually have the company be sustainable into the future. And so we switched to this new 8-camera rig. It lets us fly over the earth anywhere we want to go, take pictures whenever we want. And it also lets us pivot to, say, a UAV company. If we were to fail on the space side of things, we could actually sell our hardware and all of our IP to a company with a flying robot, since the CubeSat is completely wireless, battery powered, and can transmit data wirelessly. It'd be like a self-contained 360 camera. So,
That sounds really awesome.
So no other cameras are space rated. So something like the Ozo or the Aura, we couldn't actually send those into space because they would either overheat or vibrate apart on rocket launch. So.
That's pretty cool. So I didn't even think about that. How fast does the satellite have to go before it can get into orbit or be at the right place in orbit?
Yeah, so for our first satellite, we go up on a SpaceX Falcon 9 and it docks with the International Space Station. And then the astronauts slowly push out the satellite. It goes 1 or 2 meters per second faster or slower than the space station. And so we're going just over 17,500 miles per hour when we're in outer space. And that's what keeps it in orbit. So like Mach 25, I think. Pretty fast.
That's pretty awesome. So how does it get off of the rocket ship, and at what altitude will it stay? What are you guys aiming for?
Yeah, so the International Space Station is at 405 kilometers, which is about 250 miles. So it goes inside of the International Space Station, and then the astronauts put it onto the JAXA side of the space station, the Japanese element of the International Space Station, and then it gets spring loaded and ejected from the space station from there.
Sounds like a lot of coordination. So you've also said that you've been to SpaceX 10 times. How did you guys get connected with them? It sounds like a pretty awesome opportunity.
Yeah, so SpaceX I had visited probably back in 2010. So over the last 6 years, I've gone about once or twice a year just to see what they're up to. Have a couple of good friends down there. And so we just love what SpaceX is doing. They put a 360 camera on their drone ship that was in the middle of the ocean, and that was some really cool footage. We might have given them that idea, but it was really cool. And so we're actually not working with them directly. We work through SpaceX with a company called NanoRacks. They've launched over 300 CubeSats. So we work with NanoRacks, who works with SpaceX, who works with NASA to make sure we can get to orbit.
Awesome. So rumor has it you also have something else that you're sending into space that has to do with Star Wars. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, a little bit. It is. It's probably pretty easy to figure out. It's Disney-related property with cool spherically shaped satellites. We haven't worked out all the details, but it's going to be pretty exciting. We're thinking of 3D printing it on the International Space Station. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. We can't say too much yet.
Awesome. Okay, well, we'll stay posted for that. So when can we start seeing live feed from from outer space. So either not quite live feed, but so when will Overview 1 be launched versus Overview 2?
Yeah, so Overview 1, we're actually signing the contract today, and it's going to go to the International Space Station in the middle of 2017 on a SpaceX rocket. And so that means in about March or April, it'll go up in around March, April, or May, and then we'll start streaming video down from orbit in July or August. So around that time, people will be able to see what it's like to be an astronaut.
That sounds really awesome. So what does it take for somebody to see what it's like to be an astronaut? Is there a sign up somewhere, or can we just go to your YouTube channel and see live feeds there?
So it'll be a mixture of everything. You can pre-order now currently on the website, and that gets you access to our SpaceVR content platform. So we're building out 3 separate apps basically for Android, iOS, and then the Oculus store for the Samsung Gear and for the Oculus. And so when content starts coming down, you'll be able to log into those apps and actually view the content. And then we will also release some free content on YouTube, since YouTube supports 360 videos also. So if you can't quite afford to buy any content yet, you'll be able to check out some stuff there as well.
It sounds like a really great opportunity for students. Can you imagine how much more everyone would have been inspired as children if we were able to see that in school?
Yeah, I was inspired by the space shuttle back in the day. I have a home video of me when I was 5 years old, VHS. My mom asked me what I wanted to be. Before I even finished the question, I yelled out astronaut. So watching the space shuttle and watching NASA TV with our 10-meter dish that we had in our backyard, it was always really inspiring.
Awesome. That sounds incredible. So when will you be going into space yourself? Have you set a launch date yet?
Yes, we actually are we went to the International Space Station last Thursday. We have a photo of us that was on a computer on the International Space Station. So that was pretty cool. So my selfie is in space. I plan to go to Mars, so probably around 2033 after SpaceX works out the bugs on their first human mission in 2027. Give it 5 years. I'll go to Mars, retire, bring the wife, bring the kids, have a good time, live out really long life on Mars, die at the age of 100 maybe after exploring everything. So it'll be fun.
Sounds like it. If you like all that dust and sand and hurricanes.
It's like being on the beach all the time.
Awesome. So we do have a few questions from people on Reddit. Wanted to see if we could touch on those. Marcine wants to know, how do you involve more people in your VR experiences? So how are you getting more people involved in what it is you're doing?
By involved, I guess just viewing the content. Is that what she means?
Yeah. So how are you guys spreading the word about what it is you're doing? How are you guys gaining your audience?
Okay. Just through social media, we hired a new communications intern, Tamoya. So we've been pushing on Facebook pretty hard with updates. Then you can also stay connected with us on the Kickstarter that we did last September. So we're posting updates, things like our VR Kids program, where we gave away 4 free VR headsets to schools around the world so that kids can really start to get engaged with VR content and learn a little bit more about space and what we're doing. So I guess our Kickstarter, Facebook, Twitter, and then we're also posting free videos on YouTube, like I mentioned. We have a video of the SpaceX Falcon 9 first stage after it had come back from orbit and landed on the drone ship. So we have a really up-close view of that first stage, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that sounds really awesome. How did you guys come up with this idea to have live feed from space?
So that was all Ryan, our CEO. back in January of 2015. He wanted to do something that would really affect the world and wasn't just another app for tweeting to people or stuff like that. So he's like, what can I do that will positively affect like all of humanity? And so he saw VR was really cool and up and coming, and he really loved space. So he merged the two together, and he wants to send all 7 billion people into orbit, so you can look down at your home town and just kind of breathe in all the beauty of Earth and see what it's like to think of smaller problems in the world. Like there's a lot. The world's not that bad when you look at it from space. Like everyone works together, everyone's beautiful. So we want to give that feeling to everybody.
Oh, that's really wonderful. It's a great perspective.
It's called The Overview Effect. There's a really good documentary on another. You can search it online, but it's really compelling.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I know I've had that thought before, when you can take a big step back and see people or communities as a whole. Usually there's a lot more working than all of the difficult things and all the mean things that people are doing to each other these days. There are a lot of beautiful things, a lot of people working together, helping each other out, but it's not always newsworthy. So I think it's great to give people that out of this world perspective for sure. Awesome. So do you have a favorite augmented reality or virtual reality app that isn't space related?
Oh man, that isn't space related. That's a tough one. All I do is space 24/7. So favorite augmented reality thing that's not space related. Favorite thing in VR that's not space related is no, that's space related. Can I call a rain check on? Let me think about that a little bit more. I don't know if I do anything that's not space related in AR or VR.
Yeah, it can be space related too. Sorry, thought we'd ask.
Let me think about that. I'll come back to that one.
Sounds good. So do you have any, or time's just about over. I wanted to see if you had any last advice for anyone who's interested in virtual reality or space exploration.
Yeah, AR and VR are a great way to get into things if you're like an app developer. So learning Unity 3D is a great way for you to be able to build apps for both platforms. There's a couple other engines out there like Unreal Engine as well, but both of those can be learned pretty easily from online videos. And if you sit down with people or friends that have got some experience in it, it's a drag and drop interface. So a lot of the programming is relatively straightforward. So I would recommend that. And then just go to a lot of meetup groups in your local town. In SF especially, there's tons of VR and AR meetup groups where you can learn how to program, find co-founders and all that good stuff. So.
Awesome. That sounds like really great advice. I definitely would have to agree with that. Definitely, I think we're going to see a lot more fun engines and fun applications coming out pretty soon that will definitely change the world.
There we go.
I think it's awesome. Well, Blaze, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. We really look forward to seeing you guys launch and doing awesome.
Thanks, Rosie.
Yep.
Have a good one.
You too.